Good morning, Baker. It's Shamir with another COVID-19 update. And this morning, I wanted to slow this down a little bit because I really want to explain some things to you. And I just want to be honest with you. We've been praying about this for the last couple of days on how we can help out citizens and help them to understand what we're trying to do here. And God has come back and told me that we have what we need to do here. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. We have some things that we can help with the fight against this, that we can keep each other safe. And one of those things that I want to talk about is flattening the curve. And I know that you've heard people talk about this, and I want to really go into detail with this and show you how important it is, because there's certain things that we cannot control, but there's certain things that we can control. And I want to concentrate on those things that we can control. And so I want to bring this slide up, and we're going to talk about flattening the curve. You've heard Mayor Broom talk about that a lot, flattening the curve. And flattening the curve, all it is it refers to making efforts to slow the spread of the disease in order to prevent overwhelming their healthcare system. So now let me talk about that real quick, and we can keep that slide up. Because what happens is, as this pandemic, it becomes larger, it starts to grow, the healthcare system will become overwhelmed with people being sick. That's why we're doing the type of things, they have the type of procedures that the healthcare community is doing to stop the spread of the disease in a fast manner. Because, those people that's there to help us in those hospitals and those clinics, if they get sick, then we're going to have a problem. So that's why we want to flatten that curve and make the effort to slow the spread of the disease in order to overwhelm our healthcare system. That's one of the reasons the healthcare community is talking about this, and that's very, very, very important. Now, we can become a part of that. We can help that situation with something that we can control. And the way we can control that is through social distancing, okay? Social distancing. What is social distancing? Actions to apply to prevent the spread of a contagious disease. All it is that with no handshakes, and we want to maintain a 6 feet distance between yourself and others. Now, this is hard for a lot of us. It's hard for me because I'm a hugger, and and I just like to greet people. But right now, remember, we're working together to prevent this disease from spreading. So I'm asking you, I highly recommend that you guys practice this and you talk to your kids about this, and basically you talk to everybody you know about the 6 feet distance rule between yourself and others. Now, why is this important? It's going to reduce the risk for your family and your community. And let's talk about who is your family and who is your community. Now, most of you have moms, you have grandmoms, grandpas, you have people that's elderly. These people are elderly, or they are vulnerable because they have health issues that this disease can actually really, really hurt them. So if you want to save their lives, if you want to help them from not contracting this disease, if you want to be a part of that, trying to help them from not contracting this disease, please follow what we're talking about here with the 6 feet, what they call social distance, okay? And so it's easy. When you're in the store, make sure you stay 6 feet apart. If you're walking around the track and you're talking in the morning and you're getting your exercise, just make sure you stay 6 feet apart from everybody, and you can talk. And you can do your research on this because the COVID-19 particles will travel 6 feet and remain contagious in the air for 3 hours. Now, that's what the medical community is talking about here. You can do your research on this, and it also remains on hard surfaces for 72 hours. So social distance, okay? That should be the conversation that we're all talking about now. Social distance, 6 feet apart. And everything we do. We can still go on with our lives, but we can still do that, and that's going to help us curve or flatten the curve on this disease here. Now, I hope you guys understand that. This is really important. This is something that we can do. This is something that we can control ourselves. And so I want you to practice that. And the reason that we're doing this, remember, when we go back to flattening the curve, we're going to slow the disease down. And we do this very, very intentionally, that we can slow this disease down. Now we can do this, we can control this. All we have to do is follow this. This is easy stuff that we can do here. So I hope everybody understand that. You can go ahead and do your research on that. All the healthcare community, that's what they're talking about. That's what the governor is talking about. That's what Mayor Broome is talking about. And we can do that. Let's talk about practical sanitation steps. Let's bring that up and talk about what we can do, the other things that we can do to protect ourselves. We need to wash our hands all the time. In and out, anytime we go in and out, anytime we get in our car, we need to wash our hands or sanitize our hands with the hand sanitizing detergent that you have. You need to disinfect hard surfaces all the time. In other words, in your home, you need to continually be wiping down stuff. At the job, you need to continue to be wiping down your everything that you touch, that you put your hands on. You need to continually be wiping those down to make sure that you disinfect everything around you. Once again, this is a protection, a precaution to protect your family members, your mom, your dad, your grandparents, people that's going in and out of their house. And if they live by themselves, when you come into that house, you need to go ahead and you need to do the same thing. You need to continue to wipe their stuff down and make sure that everything is disinfected in their house to keep them as safe as possible. And we're going to talk about vulnerable when I come back. What's the vulnerable group? What are we talking about here when we talking about trying to protect these people here? But remember to wash your hands. So I'm going to go back and we're going to talk about. I'm just going to recap. The first part of this segment we talked about flattening the curve and what that means. And the most important thing with flattening the curve, it refers to making efforts to slow the spread of the disease. And that's something that we can do ourselves. That's something that we can work on ourselves. That's something that we can control by social distancing. Okay? Social distancing. And then the other thing is that make sure that you cover your mouth when you sneeze, you cough. You cover your mouth. And if you're 6 feet away, you got an opportunity to do that because of the type of virus that we have. All right? And don't forget about the practical sanitation steps. Wash your hands all the time. Disinfect hard surfaces all the time. And make sure while we're doing this, now we have to be intentional with this, ladies and gentlemen. This has to be something that we do intentionally. It has to become habit now. Okay, we can't go back and say, well, we got to do all this, we got to do all that. If you want to fight this thing, if you want to be a part of the team to fight this thing and protect your family, this is what we need to do as a community. Okay, so I hope those steps will help you. I hope that you have an opportunity to talk to your family, talk to your church members, talk to your neighbors about what we're talking about here. This is nothing different than we're talking about. I'm just asking you, and I highly recommend that you be intentional about doing this. We're doing all this praying. We're getting the answers. Now we got to do what God has asked us to do. So I hope you got that information. So look, I got to go. I got to pay a few bills, but I'll be right back with updated information on this virus. We'll be right back.